today's video is a bit of a special one because, as you see, I went to the strike on Friday the 15th of March, which was the school's strike for climate. This was a strike that saw students from around the globe come together and strike for governments and politicians and people in power to act upon climate change. So a lot of the students are very passionate about their future because at the end of the day, the things that we've been doing for the past 20-30 years is really going to affect the future generation of the world. Recently, in the past couple years in Australia, we've seen a lot of extreme weathers going on. This summer we've seen a lot more rain, a lot more storms than usual, and it's only going to get worse if we don't do anything about it right now. The people in their 50s, 60s, older generations, they don't have to worry about it as much. They're already settled, they've got careers started, they've got families. Most of them, I would say, is living quite comfortably. So, they've got their life sorted, but the future generations, because we don't know what climate change is going to do exactly, it's really unpredictable for these future generations. So they're so passionate. It was really wonderful seeing all these young people come out to the streets and protest in attempts to get our government to create a solid climate policy, because at the moment in Australia we don't have a climate policy. We haven't had one for many years now, and it's really frustrating because we've signed the Paris Agreement to keep global temperatures rising to a maximum of 1.5 to 2 degrees, and we've signed the agreement saying that we're going to lower our emissions by 26 to 28% pre-2005 levels before 2030. So that's in about 11 years. We're going to reduce what our emissions were at 2005 by just over a quarter. And to be honest, we haven't been on track. It's really disheartening because you have so many people who are concerned about the future, who are concerned about the environment, and the politicians who are supposed to be running the country, who are supposed to be helping us live our lives, aren't doing anything about it. One of the reports that I read, the UN said that we have about 12 years to reverse what we're doing now. Otherwise, we're just headed for catastrophe. And by catastrophe, that's over the 2-degree mark. So we already know from global warming that we're seeing more extreme weather events, such as the crazy cyclones and hurricanes that are happening in America, crazy storms that are happening in Sydney right now. We're seeing seawater level rise. We're seeing changes in weather patterns, which are then, of course, affecting the way how humans live and the way how animals live as well. We're seeing those changes in weather patterns also affect trees and all that stuff, so plants, literally everything in our biosphere. I guess the reason why I'm so passionate about sustainability and climate change is when I have kids, if I have kids, I want to be able to tell them that I tried everything that I possibly could. Sorry, I get really emotional about this stuff. My kids, when they're growing up, they're going to have a completely different environment to what I have right now. And I don't want to talk to them about back in the days, summer used to be so nice. It would be like a nice 25 to 30 degree weather, and every day you could go to the beach and it'll be nice. But I don't want to tell them that when they're experiencing summers with 40-degree days every day. Like 40-degree days is horrendous. We've had like 1 or 2 on and off 40-degree days, and it's horrendous. So like a 1.5 degree increase in temperature can literally mean 40 degrees every day in summer in Western Sydney. Like that's terrible. So I guess this quick video, I just want to briefly talk about climate change and how it can impact all of us. And I would love for you guys to pick anything that you do in your day-to-day life, comment it down below, and I'm going to try work out how climate change is going to impact that and what that means to you. And based on these scenarios, I will make individual videos. The most striking thing that I learned about climate change, which I never even made a correlation to, is domestic violence. So a couple years ago, I went to a 1 Million Women talk where they invited speakers from the Pacific Island nations. And these ladies came into Sydney and they went to see the coal mine, and they shared their stories with us about how climate change is having an impact on them back at home. So not only are they experiencing sea level rises and their islands are disappearing and they're having to change their ways of life because of that, but climate change has also been resulting in domestic violence. And I found that really shocking because I never would have thought the two could ever link. So what happens is, like, on the islands, I guess more rural communities, they still have that household behavior where the husband will go out to hunt and go out to get food, and the wife might stay home to look after the children and tend to the vegetables or the garden. And recently with climate change, because the weather patterns have been changing so drastically, the garden at home might not be doing so well. However, the husband doesn't realize that it's climate change, I guess. They might not be as aware of climate change as we are in global cities. So when they come home and they find that their wife doesn't have any vegetables prepared for dinner, he will get mad. He'll be like, oh, where are the vegetables? I've been out hunting all day. I've got this beautiful fish animal thing to eat for dinner. Where are the vegetables? Goes outside to the garden, might see it completely barren, and then you know what he assumes? He assumes his wife has been lazy. He assumes that his wife has not been working all day, that she's been doing nothing at home, and that she's lazy. And then you know what happens? Domestic violence happens. So when I found out that because of climate change that domestic violence can happen, I was extremely shocked. I'm still shocked. Like, I can't imagine that happening. It really does show how everything has a flow and effect. You know, these people in the Pacific nations, they're not contributing as much to climate change as other nations like America, Australia, Europe. They're the ones that are going to be impacted the most. It's really disheartening, you know. People who are driving their cars around on the roads in America or in Australia are contributing to greenhouse gas emissions, which then go up into the air and transfers over to the Pacific nations, and it affects the weather patterns so badly that we might not realize the weather patterns ourselves, but it's definitely happening somewhere else around the globe. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. The point I'm trying to say here is that everything has a flow and effect, whether you realize it or whether you don't. That's why I think climate change is so important. It's so imperative that not only do we make small changes in our own lifestyle habits, but it's imperative that we also communicate that we are concerned about climate change and we let our politicians know about that. Because at the moment, especially in Australia, they're not doing anything. They're doing jackass. And with the elections coming up this year, I think it's really important for you guys to maybe jump online, have a bit of a research, find out what values are really important to you, and see which party aligns with your values the best, and make sure you are being well represented. Because at the moment, I have to say, Australian politics has been a joke, and it's so hard because individuals and businesses are looking to the government to be a leader, because at the same time, like, you know, there's only so much that businesses and individuals can do, but the government has the authority to implement a top-down approach. So, you know, if the government stepped up and said, guys, no more plastic bags, everyone will be like, okay, no more plastic bags. And you know what happens when that happens? Innovation. Businesses start thinking, okay, crap, we can't use plastics anymore. How else can we do this? How else can we make this happen? And they start being innovative. And then once you become innovative, you have a competitive advantage, which makes you better than other companies. And then that fuels the economic cycle as well. Climate change doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a really good thing that can push us in the right direction. But at the moment, we're lacking that in Australia. I just want you guys to have a think about that. And I hope next time, if you guys are passionate about climate change, what's going around your hometown, go to a strike. Let your voices be heard, because I just found it honestly so moving to be around so many like-minded people, so many people who are passionate about the same thing that I am about. Honestly, like, I was intending to go for 20 minutes. I ended up staying for the 2 whole hours, and I was just so moved by seeing so many people, because there were thousands of people. I was expecting, like, you know, 1,200, 2,000, but there was like tens of thousands of people. It was so great seeing the youth, the old people, the old grandmas and grandpas there that were so concerned about their offsprings. It's really touching. It makes me so mad, because these people in Parliament, what they decide is either going to make or break our future generation. If you have any topics or things like that that you guys are interested in about seeing how it might affect you, just let me know down below and I'll make a video about it. And if you liked this video or any of my other videos, please give it a thumbs up. I'm really sorry that this one has been so ranty, but I just had to get it out of my system, and I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
We want solo, we want more. Hey, ScoMo, hear us roar. We want solo, we want more. Hey, ScoMo, hear us roar. We want solo.